So today we are talking about emotions. So what is emotion? Emotion is a psychological state that has several different components. So first it involves the subjective experience. So that's the experience from your perspective. Physiological responses, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and then also some behavioral or expressive responses. So what do you do when you feel angry? How do you express that? What are the particular behaviors that you engage in? Emotions are important in that they can help you aid in performing a certain action, in setting goals, and also in decision making. So emotions can change very quickly, and we use them in every aspect of our lives. Emotional intelligence, this is a hot topic right now in the research literature, and there is some evidence that individuals who are good at managing their emotions are often more well-liked by other people. So think about this, applied to small children. Maybe there was someone in your elementary school class who cried all the time. That person was not good at managing emotions. Oftentimes kids who have those very strong reactions, who aren't good at managing emotions, are oftentimes rejected by their peers. So nobody wants to hang out with the kid who cries all the time. Nobody wants to hang out with the child who, hits other people when he gets angry. So people who have high degrees of emotional intelligence then are not only good at managing their own emotions, but they're also good at reading other people's emotions and also understanding how their actions might cause another person to feel. So there are 7 basic emotions that Paul Ekman outlined as universal. So basically what he did, he looked at the experience of emotion from various cultures. So he looked at westernized cultures such as the United States, and then he also looked at very remote cultures in places in Africa and South America where they had not had exposure to Western culture. And he basically found that no matter what, if it was in this Western culture or in this very remote area, there were 7 basic facial expressions that human beings showed. And so you see those listed here. So happiness, surprise, contempt, sadness, anger, disgust, and fear. And these universal emotions then he saw as basic emotions. They're innate. That means we're born with these expression of emotion, and they're hardwired. We know how to show someone we're happy. You don't have to teach someone that. They already know. It's hardwired. It's innate. You're born with that ability. And then more complex emotions are a blend of many aspects of these basic emotions. So that's why it's possible, to feel happy, sad, to feel angry, scared. Oftentimes, we can put these things together, and the experience of emotion can be a very, very complex process. Emotion work. So emotion work. We get better at this as we get older. Little kids are not that great at emotion work. But emotion work is basically when you have to act out some kind of emotion that you don't really feel. And oftentimes this is influenced by social expectations. So the idea with emotion work is that your internal emotional state does not match the way that you are behaving or the way that you are expressing your emotion. So I always think, I worked as a waitress, as a server for many, many years through college, and I used emotion work every day at that job. Anyone who's ever worked with the general public should be able to relate to this. But, sometimes you get a table who's complaining about stuff, and you just want to yell at them like, well, you're an idiot. I don't want to wait on you anymore. Just get up and leave. You're really pissing me off. But you, of course, can't do that. You have to use emotion work, right? So internally, I want these people to get out of this restaurant and stop ruining my day. But externally, I have to show them like I really care, or that I'm concerned that, their food is not exactly what they were hoping for, or their experience is not up to par. Little kids are not very good at this, right? They're not good at emotion work yet. They learn this as they become more aware of the social expectations. So let's say that you have, a 4-year-old child and you give this little boy clothes for a birthday present. Ugh, what could be worse, right? You're a little kid. You want toys to play with. You don't want clothes. So the little kid opens the box and he's like, oh, thanks. Clothes. Exactly what I wanted for my birthday. Thanks a lot. They don't know yet that that's impolite, right? So then if you did the same thing for, let's say, a 10-year-old child, the 10-year-old might say, oh, wow, thank you so much. Clothes, just what I wanted, because that child has learned that emotion work is appropriate in that particular situation. And then, of course, we have body language, right? So the nonverbal parts of interacting with other people and of displaying emotion. Okay, so let's talk about some of the physiological changes that happen with emotion. So we have talked before in the chapter on neuroscience about this fight or flight. So this idea that based on your emotional appraisal of a situation, so is this something that I need to be scared of or not, that can trigger within your body this fight or flight response. Am I going to stay here and fight, or am I going to get the hell out of here as quickly as possible? And so different emotions then stimulate different responses. So the experience of fear creates the physiological response of a decrease in skin temperature. So that's where the expression cold feet comes from. The experience of anger also produces some kind of physiological changes. So when we experience anger, we experience a corresponding increase in skin temperature. And so this is where the expression hot under the collar comes from. So looking at areas of the brain that are involved in emotion, you should remember from the chapter on neuroscience that the amygdala is the area of the brain that helps us to evaluate the significance of stimuli and then helps to generate that emotional response. So remember, the amygdala is what helps you assess if you should stay and fight or if you should get out of there, if you should choose the flight response. And the amygdala then is responsible for generating the hormonal secretions and the autonomic reactions that go along with those strong emotions.